I think we'll get lost in basketball conversations is the difference between greater and better. I'm not gonna use Isaiah Thomas and Kyrie Irving because I think you that's too. I guess you it's close. It's close for you in terms of who's better.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna say this: Bob Cousy and Kyrie Irving. Who's better versus who's greater in terms of accolades, team success, and individual success. You see what I'm saying? Who's greater and who's better between Bob Cousy and Kyrie Irving?
better Kyrie.
But in a historical sense of everything basketball related, resume and individual stuff, team stuff, can you make an argument that Bob Cousy is greater than Kyrie?
Yeah,
So you see what I'm saying? That's why I think people, because me personally, I grew up a Kobe fan. I'm a diehard Kobe fan, but I've been over the past couple years since I've been grown. I learned to separate facts from feelings. Me personally, I feel like LeBron is soft. I don't think he has that killer mentality. I could never root for him, and he could never be my favorite player. But I think resume wise and just overall everything he's done in basketball, team success, individual success, he has a greater resume and he has more individual accolades to where you could say, "Oh, LeBron is greater." But I say Kobe is better because I think he's more skilled. He was a better defensive player. I trust him more in crunch time. He has the mentality I look for when I'm talking about a basketball player. If I had to choose, so I think he was better at basketball. I trust the mentality, the defense, so I can make an argument that he's better at basketball. But when it comes to everything basketball related, it's hard for me to go the Kobe route instead of the LeBron route. I just think
do you
LeBron
know
resume is better.
that Kobe is the only player in NBA history in a 3-year span in the playoffs to face 10 50-win teams?
Right now, okay, I understand you. We've done talked about this.
No, no,
I'm
I
not
want you to
saying Kobe's.
understand. In 3 years, how many playoff teams do you face if you go to three straight championships? How many teams do you face?
Uh,
The answer is
first
12.
round, second round.
The answer is
Okay,
12.
okay. First round, second
He
round.
faced
Conference finals,
10
finals four,
50-win teams
four per season.
out of 12 teams in a 3-year span.
Mm-hmm. It's great, but right, this is what I'm saying.
That
Nobody, I've never
I'm
met nobody saying Kobe wasn't great. But
when you get most of
okay,
your
go ahead.
when you get okay, DJ, answer me this.
Mm-hmm.
Most of your accolades come from what part of the season? Just the regular season, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what most of your actual accolades, all NBA, all defense, MVP, all star, all that comes from the regular season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where do they say legends are made?
In the playoffs.
So doesn't that speak more to greatness than okay, I got more accolades than you what I did in the regular season versus what I can do in the postseason?
I mean, the Kobe. See, right now, I'm just gonna be honest with you. The Kobe playoff situation is so murky because Kobe just let's just keep it a book. Kobe had a weird career. He wasn't the bona fide guy his whole career. Now we can get into when he was the second option, when he was the 1B, the 1A, all that. But as a true number one option, does Kobe's resume in the playoffs as the guy, undisputed, is it better than LeBron's as when LeBron was the guy, undisputed? Because you got to start there. Because if we get into what Kobe was doing when he was the second guy, when he was playing with Shaq, and you add that to it, then I can see your argument. But I'm going mano y mano as the guy. We never got to see LeBron as the second option. We
We
not we
seen
never.
okay, so Kobe got to 3 championships as the main guy. He won
Mhm.
2 of them.
Yeah,
What did we see in LeBron's first 3 championships? What was the first one like?
he was 1 and 2,
It
swept,
was a
and then
laughing
he got
stock.
beat.
What was the second one like? It was a
Yeah,
laughing stock.
he got beat by the Mavericks. Yeah.
So I'm
Oh, so
like,
if you do it like that, then I can understand your argument a little bit more. Three versus the first LeBron's first three.
Like when Kobe became the guy, he was much older than when LeBron came and was the guy. And then not only that, they got rid of the whole champ. They didn't. People always talk about he ran Shaq out of there. Lakers literally got rid of everybody that was part of that championship team. The only person that was still there was Luke Walton, and he was literally a rookie the year before. So don't talk to me about, man, what did Kobe do when he was the guy? What did the Lakers do when they chose him over Shaq?
Okay, so you going with 2-1 versus 1-2. That's where the individual starts. So you're not go bringing to play the other championships. You just go stay the first 3 versus Kobe's 3.
I mean, we can keep going down the line. It gets for Jordan. I mean, for James though, we see what he's 4-6 in the championship.
No, I'm literally looking for understanding because I was one of them dudes. I never wanted to put LeBron over Kobe. I didn't want to do it. But then
Kobe will forever, like, it's certain things that don't show up on the stat sheet.
Okay.
I will never hear Kobe ever diminish what a ring can do for you. Like, forget about list. Kobe didn't care about being on no list.
Yeah.
Kobe wanted to be great by winning. He never said, "Oh man, I can't wait for ESPN to drop their list. Oh man, I can't wait for the top 75 list to come out." Kobe defined greatness as winning. You talk to people that Dr. J said something to Kobe, and when I heard it the other day, I said, "Dang, that's what's missing." He said, "You are literally the last of a dying breed." He said, "You come from that cloth that we came from."
Now that's true. That is true. I'm with you on that.
He said, "You only cared about winning. That's the only thing that mattered to you." He said, and Dr. J said it after he passed. He said when Kobe left the game of basketball, I stopped watching basketball. He said, because a lot of guys out there, you can just tell they don't want it. They don't care about winning no more. They want the flashy cars. They want all the biggest deals. And I just seen Nas Reed get a deal. And I'm sitting there like, what? Did we just watch the same Nas Reed? And that made me think, do Timberwolves really believe in this guy? Or do they just want to make sure that nobody else can get him?
It might be a little bit of both.
It's almost like that dude that be cheating on his girlfriend. Like, bro, why you still with her? You be dogging her and everything, but he really just don't want nobody else to get to her. That's why I'm keeping her around. That's what I feel like Timberwolves think about Nas Reed. It ain't so much that we actually like just think like, oh man, he about to he gonna help us get to that championship. It's more so just, I just don't want you to slip out of our hands. But back to the actual topic though, like, it's just certain things about Kobe that just, forget about personality. Kobe just on the court, I'm here to win by any means necessary.
Okay, so you coming at it from, so you kind of, to me, when I think of how I rank players, I do it like this. Yes, I look at your individual statistics. I look at your team success, and then I kind of combine everything into one. Like, who would I rather have, and all that. The only reason why I don't get there with Kobe and have him as the GOAT, because Kobe don't got more championships than Jordan. He don't have more individual success in just terms of like counting stats. Like, it do. I get what you're saying, but the other stuff do matter too, though, right? I'm saying, but from what I'm hearing from you, you just going strictly off the winning. Who would you rather have player for player?
Kobe did it against the best competition.
And then you gonna argue he did better competition. I'm not saying you wrong. I'm not saying you don't have a point.
Everybody they talk
the criteria could be different for everybody.
They talk about he copied Jordan moves.
Mm-hmm.
It's just certain things that we seen from Kobe. People are not gonna ever admit it. If you old enough to have seen Jordan, you never gonna admit this about Kobe. We seen Kobe take what Jordan was doing and really upped it. Like, we seen Kobe footwork go to a level that we never seen a guard go to before.
Mm-hmm.
We seen Kobe try stuff in games that we never seen shooting guards do. He started, it'd be times where you be like, ain't no way Kobe about to get a shot off in this position. And he'll shoot with the offhand. I'm sitting there like, what?
I would say Kobe's more skilled than Jordan. But I could also make the argument.
The only thing that Jordan has over Kobe is athleticism. He's not a better shooter. He's not a better ball handler. He's not a better defender. It's a lot of things that people don't want to admit, but Kobe was better. You put a prime Kobe in that 80s and 90s era, Jordan ain't going to look that special no more because you're going to have two guys that's literally out there doing the same thing.
So, okay, I get your argument for Kobe's stiff competition. I get your argument for Kobe's skill, but to play advocate, I ain't gonna say devil's advocate. I hate that. But to play advocate for Jordan, you could say Jordan was more offensively consistent. What's your argument against that?
Do you know how many years Jordan was not a jump shooter? Most of his points came from the paint.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the highest percentage shot at, DJ?
Yeah, in the paint.
When did Kobe ever take majority of his shots in the paint?
But that don't.
Name me other shooting guards from Kobe era that also took jump shots and look at what their shooting percentage was.
But I'm saying, Ray, how many scoring titles does Michael Jordan got? Michael Jordan was an absolute offensive machine. And he shot
you name
crazy
off,
field
hold on. This is another point. When you name off the greatest perimeter defenders of all time, most of them come from Kobe's era.
Yes, you can make the.
People talk about how good Rolando Blackman, Michael Cooper, all them guys was on defense. I ain't never heard them in no greatest of all time perimeter defenders, and they got Defense Player of the Year awards. I know Mike Cooper got, I think, too.
Kobe was definitely the premier two-way shooting guard in the league.
No, I'm saying as far as you keep talking about what Jordan did, I'm like, cool, Jordan did that. I can't take that away from him. But when I can dissect what they faced on the other end, what they faced for.
So you saying the shooting guard era was weaker when Jordan was in it versus Kobe, who had to go up against better defensive players and just better shooting guards.
The top 5 shooting guards of all time, Kobe went up against them in their primes. Jordan didn't. Okay. Jordan played against a young Kobe, he played against a young AI and couldn't do nothing with him. Kobe had to go against that when he was in his prime. Kobe had to go against prime T-Mac. Kobe had to go against prime Vince Carter, Ray Allen. Mm-hmm. He went up against a young James Harden. He went up against prime D Wade. The best shooting guard that Jordan faced was Clyde Drexler.
Okay.
And Clyde Drexler, don't get me wrong, one of the greatest dunkers, a solid 2 guard, but he didn't have a jumper. It was broke. Come on now. Name me a guy in Kobe's time that was a pure slasher, and they was winning off of that.
Yeah.
D-Wade was the closest thing to it, but he had a jumper.
Right. I'm not arguing with you. I'm letting you cook because you brought up a lot of good points. But before we wrap this segment up, because I want to make it clear, because I'm gonna chop this up, so I want you to make it clear. I'm not fighting against your perspective. It's just the way I break down basketball. I just weigh everything in turn. I'm sorry, I'm a numbers guy. And
the funny thing, you done heard me always bring up the competition standpoint. Like I've always said, Kobe was the ultimate shooting guard because he went against the best.
Okay, no, right. I'm just trying to lay it out there so when I cut this up, everybody can know where you're coming from. You're making good points, but I wanted to make sure it's clear. So to try to get it in a short summary fashion, what's your argument for Kobe being the GOAT versus LeBron, and then give me your argument versus Jordan? Because you said some good points, but I want you to put it in a shorter form so that when I clip this, everybody can see where you're coming from. I feel like you're making great points, Even though I just look at it different, but I'm not saying the way you look at it is wrong. I just want you to explain it. So when we put it out there, it could be the most easy to digest to where it makes sense. But go ahead.
Kobe's greatness can be told in one book.
Mhm.
That's my argument against LeBron.
Hmm.
LeBron can't finish any book because he always left.
Hmm.
So it's almost like he got writer's block and said, I'm going to start a new project because I don't know where else to go from here. Like,
Now give me the argument you just gave me. The one that I get that part, but the argument you just gave me, you really hit me. Okay,
every team that LeBron struggled against, Kobe had no problem with. With Boston, they went 1-1. I give them that. Boston was man. I always say, and it's funny because not only did Kobe overcome Boston, but you telling me Dwight Howard can overcome Boston, but you can't, and you supposed to be they give you MVP. You got the best record in the league, and people still try to make the argument he didn't have a good enough team. At least I can see, like, T-Mac said something that was very prominent. I never had the team that was meant to win. And you can tell by the seeding and how many games they won. You're like, okay, yeah, T-Mac was carrying.
That's
LeBron
true,
was out there winning 60 plus games.
No, that's facts.
And people make excuse. I'm like, when AI made the finals, everybody was just like, bro, how? The best player on the team was only 6 feet. And he the only offensive generator on the team. LeBron out there with an all-star, a former all-star, and a guy that can get you a bucket at any point in the game.
And he had a guy on all defensive team, and I think he had the rebounding champ, and he had the 3-point field goal percentage leader that season.
So it's like
he had a real team, like SGA had.
People look, and it's funny because this has nothing to do with sports, but it's funny because in the same light, I've always looked at these two guys as the same person. I always said Nas was the Kobe of hip hop. And Nas is my GOAT. And I still feel like, man, people still be like, some people be like, man, he ain't even top 10. I'm like, dude got the greatest album of all time in hip hop history. He arguably has 2 hip hop albums in top 10 of all time with It Was Written and Illmatic. But it's funny because Jim Jones is speaking on Nas right now. And I'm sitting here like,
not one classic in his repertoire.
Everything that you're mentioning has nothing to do with actually making music. You're saying you're better than everything at Nas other than actually being a hip-hop artist. You're talking about what has he influenced outside of music? Ain't that what you joined up hip-hop for? You went into the studio to show people what you had on? Ain't no way you got out of bed and said, man, I can't wait to go to the studio to record this album so they can see what type of sneakers I got on.
So what did Jim Jones fully say?
He basically saying he influenced more than Nas did. I'm like, first of all,
what did he influence? It was Cameron.
You asking me? I'm asking you.
Oh, I don't know.
If he was never part of Dipset, nobody would ever know who Jim Jones was.
Man, I remember
the only song I can name to you by him is "Ballin'."
Ballin'.
People start naming off other songs. I said I gotta hear it, I guess, because I don't. If I don't know the song by the title, especially from my era that we grew up in, I'm like, yeah, it's a problem.
see, he wasn't even on Hey Ma, so
he wasn't on Oh Boy, I think either.
He wasn't on, yeah.
I don't think he was even on. I'm like, bro, you was a groupie,
bro. For real. Damn, he wasn't on Oh Boy or Hey Ma. He wasn't on, I guess.
But I'm looking at it from that perspective though, even with Kobe, because it's like, bruh, hey, y'all forgot or something? Like we all witnessed it. We seen it live. It's
And
nothing that
that's
we're telling that wasn't already seen or talked about.
and
I
that's
remember
when it becomes feelings though, right?
hold on a second. When Kobe was in the Celtics series,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to say it was Mark Jackson that was speaking on it. You know, and this time Jordan is the bona fide GOAT. All we heard growing up was Jordan is the GOAT. It wasn't no like that's another thing that people try to change. It wasn't no Kareem. Now, I'm not saying he don't have a right to have an argument. I'm saying what we heard growing up. Who did you hear as your GOAT on that everybody was saying was the greatest basketball player of all time, DJ, when we was growing up?
You saying the GOAT?
Yeah, who was they saying was the greatest of all time? It really wasn't an argument. It was really one
It was
side. I just want to
Jordan.
know what you heard exactly. So this is
Okay.
This is 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Jackson said, "I would never say anybody is better at the game of basketball than Michael Jordan. But what I witnessed tonight from Kobe Bean Bryant, he is not. He said he's not better, but he's right on par with Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how people went from 2010 to now, and they start everybody they try to move ahead of Kobe. They retired already. I said, how can you go
Oh
back
yeah,
and redo their
that's crazy.
career?
That's crazy.
In 2010, Kareem was been retired for what 22 years. Magic Johnson had been retired for about 15.
So you would have a problem when people putting Kareem over Kobe too?
No, I have a problem when people try to change a top 10 list with
With
people who've
people that
been
was
retired
already,
before
yeah,
Kobe retired.
I feel
How
that.
did they get better? It's impossible to get better once you retire. You can't do nothing else. Your story is done.
You still
LeBron, I
didn't.
can see, okay, yeah, y'all moved him ahead because he did some things later on. But when y'all try to start moving up other guys, that I'm like, come on now.
Okay,
No.
right. You still didn't give me your main bullet points. I needed. I basically want it to be clippable.
The
What
main
is your main bullet points?
Okay, I'm
For,
gonna give you three
okay.
bullet points. The first
Okay.
one is competition. He
Okay.
beat more 50-win teams than any player in NBA history. That's why when people try to talk about he had Shaq, okay, he beat more 50-win teams than Shaq. It ain't even close between him and Shaq, who won beat more 50-win teams in the playoffs. So that right there is my number one point. He faced the toughest competition.
Okay. That's a
In
good
order
one.
to be the best, you got to beat the best. That's what they say, at least. I
No,
don't
that's
know.
a good
Maybe that
point.
changed. Maybe that changed because of ring culture. I don't know. You know, we got guys out there who trying to change up what the number one goal is in basketball.
Okay. You know, definitely get to that, but let's finish this. So, no one bullet point why Kobe's better than LeBron is.
Oh no, this why
competition.
This is just why he my GOAT.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Number two, the greatest shot maker in NBA history, in my opinion. Not just people always try to label it. He the greatest difficult shot. He the greatest shot maker.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Look at
So,
the moments.
greatest
Look at
competition, greatest shot maker.
the closer. Like people talk about. This is another side point to what I'm saying. People talk about Shaq being number one guy, but they depended on Kobe to close them games out. Kobe been the closer on that team since his second year in the league. People forget that. That year when he was throwing up all them air balls in Utah, you want to know why he's throwing up them air balls? Because they had that much. He was the finisher. And don't take my word for it. Go watch interviews on guys who was on that team. They said Kobe was the finisher on the team. He is 18, 19 years old. The first year he didn't even play. The second year he didn't really get that much playing time. Then he got his minutes up to 6-man. He was in talks to be 6-man of the year that year. He get his first All-Star nod. Now he's a closer for the team. And people fail to realize he didn't look good against Utah, but in the first two series, that boy was getting it done as the closer. That's why it looks so natural to him when you see him close out Portland, when he closed out Indiana on a bad ankle, when he closed out the next year Sacramento and San Antonio back-to-back series. That's why it just looks so natural to him because he's been doing it. The best closer in NBA history. So I feel like he beat the most competition. He's the best shot maker, which also is parallel to him being the best closer in NBA history. Number 3, Mamba mentality. People always talk about that word, but this is, man, if you don't believe that Kobe Mamba mentality, like, and people think about, when you think about greatness, they just think about you. Kobe made players on his team that I never knew had that type of skill level or level of talent inside of them. He brought, like, I was just watching the panel, they talk about how he brought the animal outside of Paul Gasol.
Yeah, that's true.
That's an easy giveaway. Go back to those final runs and look at the bench. Sasha Vujacic, Jordan Formar, Shannon Brown.
Man. Yep.
When you have the power to make people buy into your mentality, and Kobe talked about this after they lost in 2008. He said, when I lost in 2008, I was out there still trying to do it myself. He said, I had to literally find out what was their interest, what inspired them, all these different things. And that was a different level of maturity and leadership that we never seen from Kobe. The fact that Kobe admitted that the reason why we lost, not because we weren't prepared, not because of reason Bond got hurt, because I didn't lead the team. I didn't even know my teammates. We went in the whole year like we beat the defending champs in 5 games. People don't talk about that enough. Kobe used to go out there and break down a dynasty like it was nothing. He got a 4-2 record over the Spurs in his playoff history. Duncan knew what it was when they Parker said the other day. He said, when I got to the Spurs, they said we got to get prepared for the Lakers.
Yeah. That's why I don't like when people put Duncan over Kobe. That's why I like. It's some people who got Duncan over Kobe, which is crazy. Oh, we've seen that.
The last one. People always had a debate about, oh man, Kobe wasn't even the best player in the league for most of the 2000s. So why they vote him as the best player of the decade then? Why he got more all NBA first teams than anybody in that decade? Why he got more all NBA all defensive teams in that decade? Yep. How I'm not the best? I won the most too. I won 5 in a decade. I went to 7 in a decade. Duncan won 5, but that last one came outside of that decade. And the first one came before the decade started.
Okay. Yeah. 99, 2000. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
But I'm like, man, competition, shot making ability, his clutchness, Mamba mentality.
Okay. Like I said, I ain't mad at it, even though I feel differently about it. The highest I go with Kobe is 3. I just can't ignore what LeBron and Jordan did individually on top of having just as much team success. But you know, to each his own. I like Kobe better. He's the greatest player that I've seen in terms of just like skill level, who I would rather have. But in terms of everything combined, even though I don't like LeBron, I just have to be fair. Everything basketball wise combined, LeBron just check a few more boxes. Everything you said, but that's not the totality of everything I include.
Like Larry Bird said, if I want to win, I'm going with Kobe all day. If I want to go out there and have fun, give me LeBron.
Okay. But see, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm putting everything together. Like you said, I say Kobe's better. If I had to pick one, I'm picking Kobe. But it's not fair to just look at it like that. You got to put everything that somebody's done together in basketball. LeBron wasn't even the greatest scorer, and he's number 1 all time in points. Like that's that. It is what it is. Dude, done played. He about like 39. He was all NBA.
I
Like
mean,
it just
Karl
is what it
Malone,
is.
in my opinion, ain't nowhere
Karl
near.
Malone didn't win though.
No, I'm saying you said the scoring standpoint. Karl Malone is in nobody's top 10 scoring
Because
of
he
all time.
didn't win.
No, you said he's the great. He said he's not the greatest scorer, but he's still the all-time leading scorer. I'm saying Karl Malone is third all-time
Mhm.
on scoring. I've never heard nobody say he's the greatest scorer or one of the greatest scorers in NBA history.
I mean, people, it is what it is. But man, women lie, men lie, numbers don't. You to say either or LeBron or Karl Malone ain't top 10 scorers of all time. Maybe it's not like how we look at it, like the KDs, the Hezzy twins, mid-range Kyries. Maybe not that way, but they literally got the most buckets in the league, bro.
I mean, they played the longest too. Everybody
And
that
that shit
hold on.
count.
Everybody that's top 3 right now played 20 or more seasons.
Man, that shit count. And I'm getting like 25. That shit count, right? We're not doing that.
So
That's
is
just
Jordan a
scoring.
better scorer than Kobe? Because you mentioned scoring titles
In
earlier.
terms of arsenals, no. In terms of consistency, yes. He makes more shots.
You also just mentioned in terms of stats too.
He makes more shots.
Who?
He has a higher scoring average.
But who scored more points?
Okay. But see, I'm not making that argument. I'm saying for LeBron to have the longevity he's had in terms of individual accolades, on top of having all of the team success too. Yeah, he 4-6, but he still got 4 of them things. And you could argue he got one of the hardest rings when he came back from down 3-1. So I mean, that's one of the greatest finals of all time. Yes, I feel like Kyrie saved a lot of that, but LeBron was putting in work too.
To say that's
LeBron,
the greatest ring
I said
because he
one of
came
them.
back from 3-1.
I said one of them. That's one of the greatest series we ever seen. That Warriors team literally had the best record ever, bro. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. It is what it is, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. Because you making me go to bat for LeBron, and I hate that. Please stop. I'm just saying.
The teams that he faced in what we call great teams.
Wait, no, the Warriors was the greatest record. We not doing this now. What you always tell me, we not gonna rewrite history. That Warriors team had the greatest record we've ever seen. We didn't think that the Cavaliers really had no chance, man. We thought if Cavaliers pull this off.
Wasn't OKC up 3-1 against Warriors that year?
Not going in. Nobody thought the Thunder was gonna beat them going in. Don't do that.
So we didn't think that a team that already had been to a finals, they had 2 of the greatest players in the game during that time, didn't have a chance against Curry and Clay.
Raynard, we're not doing this. They had. Do you not remember that record? Can you remember the Warriors record that year?
How many games did Thunder win that year?
They won a lot. But nigga, bro, nah, we not finna rewrite history with this.
So you would have been surprised if OKC would have beat them. I'm not talking about what the public would have said. You would have been surprised if KD and Westbrook would have beat them.
Before the series started, yes. During the series, no, because they was up 3-1. No, we not. Come on, bro. You gotta be fair, bro. You gotta be fair. You not being fair with this.
I was more surprised when OKC lost the 3-1 lead than I would have been surprised they would have beat them.
Raynard, they was 73-9, bro.
How many games did OKC? I know what their record was. How many games did
55 and 27.
55?
Yeah. Big difference.
How many games did KD and Westbrook play that year?
Now you're trying to get into the weeds. Okay, I see you. Durant played 72. Westbrook played 80. Nah, that team shouldn't have even been up through. That was the thing. That's why I was saying at that time
they had nobody that could guard KD. And if Westbrook just played smarter basketball,
that was a lot of it.
They at least have 2 rings together.
The only thing is they never had no depth outside of them two. Really, it was the Kevin Durant,
When
Westbrook,
you one game away from the
Ibaka.
finals, that's a weak excuse.
I'm not saying, but I'm
You
just
can't make it
saying.
all the way that close to the finals and be like, "Boy, you guys, we ain't got enough depth, man."
I'm just saying it was roster construction issues with that team. KD provided the only spacing on the whole team for like his whole run there. I'm not saying they should have lost up 3-1, but I'm saying the Warriors should have never let them get up 3-1. It's just that was just the greatness of KD and Westbrook to kind of make it seem like they really had a chance.
This another thing that can disprove your point about that Warriors team. If they were so great, why did they immediately recruit Kevin Durant? Why didn't they just run it back with that same squad?
Man, you could add KD and just
Steph Curry getting on planes and flying. Like, come on now. I don't want to hear nothing about that 73. I don't want to hear nothing about that 73-win season. First of all, they didn't get
LeBron don't get no credit for beating the team with the best record ever.
Huh?
So LeBron don't get no credit for beating the best team ever record-wise. And we all picked the Warriors.
I'm just saying, I don't rank that team as one of the greatest, but I give him credit for beating a team that beat the record all in the season for all-time wins in the season. I do give him credit for that. I just don't personally have him as one of my greatest teams ever.
Okay, that's cool, but I'm talking about you can't discount that being one of the greatest rings ever for LeBron.
I'm not discrediting that.
But I'm saying that's a top 5 ring of all time. That 2016 ring is a top 5 ring of all time, bro.
I can't argue that.
But that's all I'm saying, because like that's really, I forgot what we was talking about. That's all I'm saying. We done went on a tangent, but that was all I was trying to say, right? Like LeBron.
Well, now you saying LeBron 4-6, but he still got 4 of them things.
Yeah.
That's a nasty final.
It is. I done said that, but you got 4 rings, man. 4 rings is 4 rings.
When you're the only player in the top 10 all time, they got a negative win percentage in the finals. That don't look good.
You don't? I agree. But then you look at his individual stuff, it balances out. It balances out, bro. You're not naming.
I still remember those.
You're not naming 2 players that had a better overall basketball resume. Right now, you can't name 2 people that has a better overall basketball resume.
It ain't no award that can save you from them big moments. You can say, I got 2 MVPs, I got 5 MVPs, I got this, that, whatever you want to say. I still remember when you was the EP of the league and you did not do what you were supposed to do when it was ball game.
I agree with you, but I'm saying that's why he's not the GOAT to me. That's why it goes Jordan, LeBron, and then Kobe or Kareem, just depending on however y'all want to do. People want to do that, but I'm saying LeBron's spot is solidified at least at 2.
In your opinion?
In my opinion, but I'm saying you got a good point of view in the way you look at it, but I feel like the way I look, I'm anti-LeBron. I think he's been bad for basketball. But just in terms of his basketball success as an individual, in terms of team, he done had an impressive basketball career, bro. It just is what it is. Top 2 all time. It just is what it is. With everything combined from my perspective and what I go and how I rank it. Because I do look at the individual. I'm damn near counting your all NBAs. I'm counting your finals MVPs. I'm counting your MVPs. Now, you might hold some of that stuff to a different standard. Maybe you looking more into the winning more than I am. But I put everything combined. And then once we talk about individuals, I let some of that individual stuff separated. Like accolades and stuff. It matters to me. It matters. I'm sorry.
Accolades only matter to me when I know the context behind it.
Raynard, he's won 4 championships. Won 4 championships. Like at that point, you got to be like, and I think he got all 4 of the finals MVPs. At that point, you got to be like, okay, come on now. It's like it's gonna be. That's hard to nitpick. I get it. Kobe was a better closer for sure, no doubt in my mind. Kobe played the better competition. I'll give you that for sure. But saying all that to say, LeBron still won 4 of them things with those negative attributes, not being the greatest closer, not being the greatest defender. He still was the best player in the
He
world.
got smart. Name me something on LeBron's team that is common once he started winning. What did he make sure he had beside him?
He always made sure he had a closer.
Okay, then.
No, that's facts. I give you that. But he was still always the best overall player. You still do have to take into terms with what he was. He was more in the Magic Johnson role than he was in the Jordan role. If you would say Kobe was the evolved form of Jordan, or he was that type of player in that archetype, you would say LeBron was in the archetype of Magic, just like a 2.0 version. They play basketball different. And just how you say with Tyrese Halliburton, he played ball different. He didn't play like Kobe and Jordan. Now, do I think he should have took more closing shots? Yes, but then he supplemented the same thing we were saying with Tatum. He does so much of everything else that it's like he's still the best overall player on his team without a doubt. It's just two different play styles and archetypes. So it's like you won 4 of them things. It just is what it is. And the 2016 was like, okay, I'll give you that one ring. To me, especially, it solidifies like, okay, you not a buster 100%. I respect that 2016 ring for sure. So you got 4 of them things, and you got one of the most respected rings in my mind that I didn't see. So it's like you still, in my opinion, got the best blend of individual success and team success between him and Kobe. Just me trying to be unbiased. Now, like I said, if I'm personal preference, Kobe, but everything considered LeBron. I just feel like that's a fair way of looking at it if I'm trying to actually be fair, which you would, you know what I'm saying? That's how I would approach my list, trying to be fair. That's all I'm saying. But everything you pointed out was valid. It's just we look at it, we just got different criteria, which is okay. Okay. Can we talk about ring culture? This is one of the things that I knock LeBron for, and this is why I look at him a certain way. I do think he top 2 of all time, but I think he's one of the worst representations of basketball. Ring culture. He came out and said, well, basically, can you sum up what he was saying? Because I'm trying to word it.
He basically was saying like, why is basketball the only like sport that holds winning rings to the highest standard, but we don't say like in baseball, Barry Bonds never won, but we still look at him as the greatest baseball player of all time, or one of. Like he was basically saying like, why is basketball so heavy around?
Yeah. You want to tackle that first, or you want me to say my opinion first?
It's every time I've heard great players talk, they say this is the only reason. What's the guy? Vince Lombardi. He said winning isn't everything.
It's the only thing.
And that was football.
Yeah.
And this before anybody even had a dynasty in basketball history.
Yeah, can I offer another perspective on why you can't bring up football and baseball? In basketball, one individual player has way more control in basketball than an individual does in baseball and football. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Because in football, like Calvin Johnson, a lot of people got Calvin Johnson like a top 5, some even top 3 wide receiver of all time. I can't even remember a playoff game with Calvin Johnson. But you got a defense, you got an offensive line, you got to depend on, you got a quarterback, you got
special teams,
you got so many moving factors to where it's like, yes, I'm gonna have to look at these people as individuals because it's so much that goes into the team aspect of football.
You could have just said Barry, because people say Barry Sanders is still the greatest running back of all time, and people
for sure.
And they was saying the argument that T-Mac tried to make I mean, you put Barry behind that Cowboys line. People always said that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's not fair to say though, because even though Barry has an argument as the greatest running back of all time, it's some character. Well, I ain't gonna say characteristics, but it's some things to Emmitt's game that Barry didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Barry could carry the ball as much as Emmitt, and his career can last as long as Emmitt did.
Mm-hmm.
Your body gonna start breaking down. We've seen some of the biggest, strongest running backs try to do what Emmitt did before Emmitt even came in the league, and their bodies broke down by year 6, year 5. Emmitt was out there with a separated shoulder and was out there running like he was 100% healthy.
But see, I just don't like the football arguments because it's too many moving parts. Just period.
I will say this: people can say what they want about Emmitt Smith. Mm-hmm. Emmitt was the first player we seen that just about prove what you saying wrong. Emmitt had a contract that came up, and him and Cowboys hadn't came to a deal yet. Emmitt said, "Okay, I'm gonna sit out some games," and they was out there getting they behind kicked. Jerry Jones said, "Man, we got to deal with you. We gonna give you what you want." He immediately went out there, and they started killing teams again. I'm not saying because there were only like 2 or 3 games he sat out, but they lost those games, and they ended up still going to the Super Bowl that year and winning. But that was the first. I want to say it was the first in NFL history they lost their first 3 games and still went to the Super Bowl. But I say that to say this: Cowboys, Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. They literally became as great as they are because they won. And that's in football.
Yeah. History just remembers the winners, especially in sports. It's sports.
Yeah.
You play to win championships.
That's what old dude said. You play to win the game.
But I'm saying it's a lot of things we got to unpack because I hate when people bring up other sports when they're talking about basketball. Basketball is the most individually driven sport that's actually a team sport, if that makes sense. Because basketball, if you do have a Nikola Jokic, you're guaranteed to get into the playoffs. We literally seen it. You're guaranteed to get into the playoffs. If you have a LeBron, a Giannis, you're guaranteed to go to the playoffs. If you have a Barry Bonds, and yes, you still not guaranteed to go to no damn playoffs because you still got your pitching still got to be right. You don't have as much individual control. Same thing with a great running back. Yeah, Barry Sanders easily probably the top running back of the decade that he was in terms of skill wise and all that there. But you're not guaranteed to make the playoffs just because you have Barry. When you have one of the greatest basketball players, you're guaranteed to make the playoffs. That's how good an individual can affect the team sport of basketball. So I hate those arguments. Did you hear what Gilbert Arenas said?
Yeah. Talking about in response to Draymond and stuff about the research and facts and stuff. Yeah.
But my thing is because I think he brought up Clay and how Damian Lillard made NBA 75 over him.
And he kept on bringing up Scottie Pippen being behind AI.
Yeah.
Don't have no rings and stuff.
And he brought that up. And this is what I'm going to say because Klay Thompson and Scottie Pippen different. Scottie Pippen, how you can put AI over Scottie Pippen because we seen Scottie Pippen have his own team. He couldn't get on to no finals. AI did have his own team. It's hard to rank Klay above number 1 options because we never seen Klay as a number 1 option. So I hate those type of arguments. Most of the time when we talk about the greatest players, they're all number 1 options. We're talking about MVP. We're talking about guys that led their team to deep playoff runs. The only way to separate great players, it comes down to championships and individual accolades because it's very hard. If you just look at the film, the tape, and what they done to separate like people like Jordan and Kobe. That's very hard to say. So when you do separate them, it's gonna be the smallest things. So some people be like, man, yeah, Jordan won more. Or somebody like, oh yeah, Jordan got this more. You know what I'm saying? Because it's too hard to break it down off the eye test. So then that's when you go off of the stuff. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Now, Gilbert Arenas also said this. He got to bring up Robert Ory and Derek Fisher, and why nobody look at them a certain way. I hate when people bring up role player rings. It's not the same thing. And I was talking to my cousin the other day. I said, people, you know when to count rings, Ray. We know this as basketball people. Chris Middleton has a ring with the Bucks. Is Chris Middleton better than Carmelo Anthony?
No.
Why isn't Chris Middleton better than Carmelo Anthony, Ray? Carmelo, we never seen Chris Middleton take his own team to no conference finals. We seen Carmelo do that. Carmelo Anthony has a scoring title. We've seen Carmelo Anthony be a consistent All-NBA performer and one of the hardest eras to be a small forward. So, yes, Chris Middleton got a ring, but you would have to have the discernment to put Carmelo into proper perspective based off what he did and what teams he was on versus Chris Middleton, who was never even the guy. Has Chris Middleton ever even had his own team? I don't think so.
No.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I hate when people bring up stuff like that because I feel like those are lazy arguments. Like I just hate those arguments. Bringing up, anytime I hear Derek Fisher in a ring conversation or Robert Ory in a ring conversation, I instantly stop listening. I instantly stop. So hearing that, what are your thoughts on those type of things?
It's just lazy counterpoints. We done heard it so many times. I don't know. He had some points that I was like, okay, but then he had some other stuff I was just like, because he was saying it from the aspect not that he believes that that's right and how they do the criteria. He was just saying that's how they judge it. And he said he can tell that's how they judge it because he noticed a pattern.
But I just don't think that's true. Because first of all, I think Clay should have been NBA 75. I think Clay is better than Damian Lillard.
Do you think Kyrie should have been 75?
He has an argument, but
they said Kyrie was originally supposed to be on there. That's a fact.
He has an argument for sure. But I feel like it was three players I feel like have arguments. That was Kyrie, Clay, and Dwight Howard. I think I would have put by far. I think I'd have put either of those three over Dame. In my opinion. Yes, because he actually got to a finals. He beat LeBron.
Don't he? He got 3 defense player of the years, or
he definitely got more than 2. So let me look that up.
I think he do got 3.
Because, but you see what I'm saying? The only reason why it's hard to say Clay because we never seen him as the guy. And another reason why it's like I could leave. It's hard to leave Kyrie out because we all say he's the most skilled player ever. He got 3 defense player of the years. Yeah. It's hard to leave Kyrie out because we all say he's the most skilled player ever. He got one of the hardest rings.
What solidified it for Dame for them to put him on 75?
I have no idea. That's why I say
you gotta look at his accolades. Like, okay, no,
but you see how he's using that as a thing. Don't nobody agree with Dame being on NBA 75? No real basketball people agree with Dame. We love Dame, but no real basketball people I know agree with Dame being NBA 75 over Dwight Howard, Clay, or Kyrie. Is that fair to say?
I ain't hear nobody say it.
But you see how he using that as an argument, which we all kind of already had a problem with. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy to bring up Clay because it's like, oh man, how y'all talking about rings when Clay ain't make NBA 75? Clay didn't make NBA 75 because we never got to see him with his own team. And I do think that matters. Is that fair?
Yeah. Because
how can I say Klay Thompson is better than Allen Iverson when we seen Allen Iverson drag a team to the finals? I hold getting a team to a finals as a number 1 over what you do as a second option. I'm sorry. That's just me. So I look at it like that. I feel like people be, I don't know, they be fake with how they judge of how they weigh rings. Because, man, first of all, we looking at number 1 options first. Everybody else come later. Even number 1 options that got to finals and conference finals, I hold them above the number 1 options that can't get out the first round. So it's like, if you a first option, you ain't got out the second or first round, Say, man, you down there? I'm looking at you with the second options that got rings, man.
I'm looking at, are you really supposed to be a number one option?
That too. That's why I'm looking at you with the second options.
Like if you don't, now let's say for a certain part of your career, usually number one option, you got hurt or something like that, and that kind of took you out of that status. Mm-hmm. Like Grant Hill, for instance. Mm-hmm. I don't judge Grant Hill like that because we got robbed of what he could have been.
Same with Brandon Roy and same with Gilbert Arenas to a certain extent.
Like people talk about, people try to feel the same thing. Somebody made a good point when I was watching the Gilbert Arenas thing. They said the same thing we trying to baby T-Mac about. We literally shamed Kobe for when he couldn't get out the first round. With Parker and Kwame Brown.
Facts. It's like, bro, at the end of the day, we get it, but we don't care. I ain't gonna say we don't care, but your career happened. It's like, come on, bro. If you in school, you say you want to be a doctor, and you apply for Harvard, what they gonna look at? They gonna look at your goddamn grades. You got 14. You did 14 years in school. This is who you are. It's on paper. You say you done played 14 years in the NBA, dog. I get it, but man, if was a fifth, right now, what we always say all the time, if we were 6'5", 6'8", we went to the league, right? They say that's just not how shit works.
Yeah,
that's not how shit works. Yeah, that's not how shit works. I hate those type of arguments. Man, if I played with Shaq, I
finna say, as soon as I seen the clip and I seen him say, man, if I would have had Shaq, what? Yeah, I'm done. I don't even want to see no more. I go on to finish the clip. I'm just sitting there like, this is your argument point.
And nobody said
you was not the defender Kobe was.
Facts. You wasn't a dog Kobe was. Let's start there.
You was never the closer Kobe was.
Yep.
Can we agree on that? Well, he was never the closer that Kobe was.
Hell no. T-Mac, bro. T-Mac really was never close to Kobe if we really just think about it. He was in terms of just what he was doing when he was getting them scoring titles and putting up them numbers, but he wasn't really, bro.
That's the
right. Them 7-game series against Phoenix was better than what he ever did. Them losses, Kobe's losses was better than T-Mac losses.
The funny thing is, every time we compare somebody to Kobe, it's only on one side of the ball.
Yep.
You remember when Devin Booker first started making his little name for himself? Everybody was like, "Oh my God, he the next Kobe." I'm like, he don't got the athleticism of Kobe. He don't have the defense of Kobe.
Yep.
They saying Shea is now. Shea don't have the athleticism or the size that Kobe had on him.
Yeah.
Y'all can say that same height, but far as like from a weight stamp, it's very contrast. Kobe was that size when he was a rookie. Then he started getting in the weight room. By the time the year that Shea is in now, Kobe, I'm like, come on now.
Kobe was a better passer
it's
too.
Certain
Kobe didn't pass as much as you would want him to, but in terms of he knew how to pass when he wanted to. He was a great
during that era. He was.
And that's what I'm saying. Like with the Pau Gasol era, he was a really good.
He was a great passer during the Kobe and Shaq era.
Yep. But my thing is he didn't pass as much. But I think he has a better IQ of passing than Shea just period.
Another thing I didn't like about Gil's Arena, this was on another episode when they was talking about the Kobe and T-Mac comparison. Mm-hmm. Kenyon Martin over there on that couch talking about it was a discussion. I'm not saying it wasn't a discussion. Cause I remember being a kid and we like when it's time to pick jerseys when you on the team.
Yep.
You want 1 or 3.
Yeah.
The funny thing was, a lot of people didn't care about getting number 8.
Yep.
I used to be happy. I'm like, shoot, give me number 8 then.
Wait, you had? Hey, I think I had one. I think I had one for Mac, if I'm not mistaken. I think I had one.
The year you came, we didn't have number 8. I was so pissed. I was like, oh my God, man. You ain't gonna have number 8.
We had red jerseys.
I think I ended up wearing like 5 or something. I'm like, I don't want no Jason Kidd number.
Yeah, I think I had one.
I ain't no point guard.
I had that Mac. Mac was a dog, and we all thought that Mac had a real chance again with Houston, but then injuries. But that goes back to say, bro, you had a whole career to show us who you were, and it played out how it played out. you know,
As the
some people
number
had an
one, your
unlucky
body broke
career.
down.
Yes, and it just is what it is. You
Like, and
broke down.
it's some things that he didn't play through. I
Yep.
know he wouldn't have played through what Kobe played through.
And then he left Vince Carter because he wanted to. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of stuff. It didn't work out, bro.
I don't
He went
think
to a
they
terrible
win.
team.
I don't think they beat the Spurs or the Kings in some of those series. How Kobe took over those series.
Reynard, those are easy. It's easy with T-Mac to talk about being with Shaq. What about with Pau Gasol? They don't beat the Boston Celtics, bro.
You give
They
Kobe
probably don't
that
get out the second
Houston team
round.
that he had. Come on now.
But you can say the second half of Kobe's career as the bona fide guy. Did they win?
You know
two
what Kobe
championships?
would
Did
have
they get
turned
the
Luis
three?
Scola into? He would have been an undersized Pau Gasol.
Yeah.
Because he had the same, like, when I look at Scola's game and I look at Pau Gasol's game, Scola was a great passer for a big.
It was similar.
Scola had a nice mid-range. Scola had nice footwork on the block. Man, you better ask Lamar Odom about that boy. That boy Lamar Odom was about to ready to fight that boy out there.
No, Luis Scola was nice. Good shout out.
Luis Scola was killing so much. That boy Fisher ended up trying to I think he had headbutted him or something. And they ended up calling that tech on him.
Yeah.
But see, man,
I think a lot of this shit be pro player propaganda. I think Gilbert Arenas a pro player propaganda is just like JJ Redick. When you don't win, it's easy to be like, man, winning don't mean that much. I feel like they come at basketball from a selfish perspective, especially Gilbert Arenas. But look what I did. You the same dude that folded in the playoffs at the free throw line. You folded in the free throw line to LeBron.
A young LeBron at that.
A young LeBron. When you had 2 All-Stars on your team. So, I mean, I don't know, bro. Like Gilbert Arenas, it's easy to say, man, ring culture, but we know when and when not to. Because this is another thing LeBron said. He was talking about that don't mean Charles Barkley wasn't great. That don't mean Karl Malone wasn't great. John Stockton wasn't great. Steve Nash. Who said them dudes wasn't great? Like that's another thing. Who said these great players that didn't win rings wasn't great? It's just,
all those guys he named, though. Well, I'm gonna say Barkley and Malone are top 20 players all time.
You see what I'm saying? And Steve Nash is a top 5 point guard of all time.
What we're saying is, if they would have won,
yes,
you got top 10, especially Karl Malone. I mean,
yes,
as weird as his personal life is,
yes.
But Charles Barkley, like they got MVPs.
Yep.
It's like only thing they got all NBAs, they got all stars.
Yep.
All like okay, is hey man, if I could just get a couple rings.
Yes, because it's like this. You could say Karl Malone is better than Dirk, but I'm like, man, Dirk is greater because he had one. To me, he got the best ring I ever seen. That ring was crazy. And I was in the city I'm still in the city, but I was in the city at that time. It was just like, bro, nah, this is crazy. Against LeBron and the Heatles, after they were making fun of him, after you lost to them in 06, and your team is like, man, we ain't expecting nothing from them every team. I'm sorry. But that in itself, because you be like, man, you played to win.
He took out Kobe, KD, and LeBron in one run.
Yep. Not to mention Westbrook, Dwayne Wade, 2 more NBA all 75 guys.
Yeah.
But it just so that becomes the separator. When you look at Karl Malone's career, you look at Dirk's career, you're like, man, Dirk, man, he got that chip, and it's one of the most impressive chips of all time. So if somebody said Dirk was better than Karl Malone, I can see why. It's like some of the times the ring debate is just the icing on the cake. They be acting like it's the end all be out. It's not, but we not gonna act like we not go hold it in high esteem when we talking about players. How can I say Steve Nash is better than Isaiah Thomas, bro? How can I say Steve Nash is better than Stephen Curry, bro? How can I do it? Like what Curry did against the Celtics, that solidified him. And then a lot of these guys have rings that solidified them. Where would LeBron be without that 2016 ring? Where would Dirk be without his ring? Where would Steph Curry be without that ring against Boston? People act like these rings don't
Say,
solidify
what would
careers.
what would Kobe
Jokic.
be if he would have never won without Shaq?
You see what I'm saying? Jokic, Giannis, SGA. Like, I guess you could say Tatum. If Tatum didn't win that ring last year and have the year he had,
Boy, people gonna hear this and be like, Tatum won that ring?
Yeah, but you get what I'm trying to say. He was the best overall.
I feel like he
player.
was the best overall player, but I get what you're saying though. They gonna be like, Brown won the MVP, which is also true as well.
Yeah. But it's still like, man, is Tatum still got that ring? And we say he the best player on the Celtics, so I'm just saying the rings solidify you, and for people to act like it's just ring culture and then people overdo, I don't see nobody overdoing the rings. But we not gonna talk about you a certain way versus a guy that has a ring if you don't have one, and I think that's fair. You say, man, you can bring up Chris Webber all you want to, but that shit don't stack up to KD.
I know that was a monkey off of Oscar Robertson back getting that one right before he got out the league.
Yes. Except because what else are we doing here, right?
Man, that boy numbers was crazy. You go back and look at Oscar Robertson numbers.
Yeah.
His numbers was crazy, but he wasn't winning nothing.
Yeah, we looked at him like Westbrook. Why do we look at Westbrook like Westbrook and we look at Harden like Harden, Embiid like Embiid, and Donovan Mitchell like, well, how you look at Donovan Mitchell? Like, say, bro, at some point you got to do something in terms of getting you some, you know what I'm saying? You had to, because literally it's 32. It's 30 teams in the NBA. It's 30 teams in the NBA. They have one goal going into the season. Every organization wants one thing. Every fan base wants one thing. You can talk about the individual shit all you want to, and that's what I don't like with Gilbert Arenas and former players do. They put more on the individual in a team sport, and even though an individual has a great influence on the team sport in basketball, that's a further indictment. It's like this is a team sport where the individual has the most sway in the team sport, and you still ain't getting it done. How great are you? Now we do look at your team and should you have won, and we take that into consideration. But at the end of the day, man, you say you want to get into Harvard, and you say you had 14 years of school to prove that you should deserve to get into Harvard. I think that's fair. Anything else before we wrap this up? Anything else you want to get off the chest? I feel like we covered that well.
Other than just, man, I think a lot of this stuff is being said though about Kobe because he no longer here. A lot of stuff that people got the gall to say now, they didn't say. It's on. The funny thing is, and I'm surprised nobody brought this up. Mm-hmm. AI said this a couple years ago when he was talking about that finals, and they was talking about, yeah, I mean, you had to go up against Shaq and Kobe. Yeah, I had to go up against Shaq and Kobe. Man, Shaq was it. He said we ain't never seen nothing like him. And he said, you give me Shaq. You want to know why people didn't say nothing in the better eye? Because we know that was true.
Nah, fact.
T-Mac, it's like, bro, come on now. You never got the first round, bro. Come on, man.
And that's why
now you're a winner because you like, come on now.
But you see why I said, oh, that's easy to talk about with Shaq. But okay, now with Pau Gasol versus KG versus Paul Pierce versus Ray Allen, would you have did that? You did that too, huh?
Rondo.
Yeah, you did that too, huh? Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm saying. That's why I say that's the easy part. What would you have done post Shaq? You wouldn't even have you wouldn't even went to 7 with Phoenix. Y'all would have got swept. And that going 7 against Phoenix was more impressive than what T-Mac ever did. That one loss is better than anything T-Mac never played a team as good as the Suns in the playoffs. So, and I love Mac, but you gotta stay in your lane. Cause like this is one of them things. It's like, bro, you could say what ifs and all that there, but your career is your career. You had multiple seasons. You had season after season to show us what you had. Now, whether injuries happen, whether your team wasn't good enough, like we can't go back and rewrite it. All right, man. I'm telling you, Ray. If I was 6'9", I'm telling you, if I was 6'9", I guarantee it. I'd have been in the league right now, still to this day, 20-10. I guarantee it. It's easy to say.
People tend to say things that's easier to say than actually do.
Yeah. And that's why, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, bro, I just feel like the ring culture, it just is what it is. Basketball is a team sport where you have the most individual influence. So yes, as an individual, when we ranking players, the team success is very, very important because you have the most sway on it. We keep it fair. And they say, I don't know nobody who disrespect Chris Paul, because we seen what he did to teams, getting them way further than where they was at. Like getting to that finals with Phoenix, that was a notch in the cap. Getting to a finals as a guy, that's important. Just like Reggie, don't nobody disrespect Reggie Miller, but man, we ain't putting him over Dwayne Wade. It just, it's levels. What they say, it's levels to this, and I don't feel like ring. So I feel like ring culture's fair. That's my final verdict.
I'm still gonna be saying winning is everything after this.
Yep. So,
and the funny thing is, T-Mac, man, come on now, T-Mac.
You never got at the first round.
Nobody in their heyday was out there just to be out there. Your main goal back in that time was to win.
Mm-hmm.
And then I see other players trying to defend LeBron's standpoint when LeBron wouldn't even say some of this stuff. If he like Chris Broussard said, you wouldn't even be having this conversation if Kobe was sitting across the table from you.
He wouldn't be saying this conversation if he had 6. If he had 6, if he had 6 rings, he wouldn't say none of this.
This past postseason, we seen LeBron only got maybe one more year in him.
No, facts.
And when you only got 4,
and
you only got one more year in you, the most you can do is 5. And I don't think he's doing 5.
Hell no. I told you this is propaganda. Ray, LeBron is a propagandist. He's a politician. He's trying to diminish ring culture because he don't have as many rings as Kobe and Jordan, bro. He wants to be in the GOAT. He wants to be the undisputed GOAT so bad that he's trying to take away what everybody used against him. You 4-6, Kobe 5-2, Jordan 6-0. He trying to alleviate that. And he could be like, man, nigga, all-time points? All these all NBAs? Nope, we ain't going. But yeah, you ready to wrap?
Yep.
But yeah, this your boy D Knows Ball. That's Ray. We just had to put basketball in proper perspective real time. Real quick. But yeah, Ray, anytime you want to do one of these, man, let me know. Because I feel like that's very important. But man, we gone.
Found some shit I love to do, so I can live comfortable. Searching for a peace of mind, need that when it's time to rhyme. Perfect in every line, any chance I get, and I know it takes time, but I will never quit.